Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Unlocking the Paradigm Portal. My name is Sarah. And I don't know about you, but I have been having a day. Not like in a bad way, but everything is going sideways. Are we in Mercury retrograde yet? Because that's certainly what it feels like. Like electronics have been funky. I can't get videos to upload, which would tie into electronics. I keep like running into things, like work got kind of wacky. It's just all over. So I decided I was going to do a second video today um, because I've concluded that whole 4-part series on perfectionism. That was the last video this morning. And now I want to switch from like the scuba diving that we've been, metaphorical scuba diving that we've been in, and come up to the surface and do a little snorkeling. So if you have been following along for the last few episodes, we have been getting into perfectionism, survival mode, discovering your needs, light and easy stuff. And you might have noticed something very important, that life did not suddenly become peaceful and magical. Instead, you might feel a little bit weird or a little bit tender or a little like somebody swapped out your personality overnight and did not leave the instruction manual. But I'm here to say that's not failure, and that is recalibration. And that is what today has felt like. Everything kind of breaking down in order for things to recalibrate. I will admit I am not a fan of the in-between. No matter how many times I do this, it still is jarring and disconcerting. And I find myself like wide-eyed blinking a lot and occasionally just staring at the wall like, WTF, man. But this is recalibration. And internally, it might feel like, cool. Okay, yeah, I'm aware of all of this stuff, but now I feel like a slightly unhinged raccoon digging through my own life choices at 2 a.m, right? And this is frustrating and it's difficult. And this is why, honestly, most people don't dig into this stuff. Because here's the truth that nobody puts a pretty little inspirational quote on. Healing doesn't turn you into some calm, glowing forest fairy. I know. I was also promised this, and it's bullshit that it didn't happen. But that's just how it is. I mean, healing is not serene. It is not aesthetic. It is not sipping tea in perfect lighting with the sun shining down upon you or becoming emotionally unbothered at all times. Sometimes healing looks like crying in a parking lot because the grocery store was too loud. I have literally left stores because it was like sensory overload, or a song will come on overhead and it triggers some kind of grief memory for me or something. And I'm just like, not today, Satan, not today. And I will leave. And it also may be realizing that you don't want to go to things that you used to force yourself to go to. And that's okay. Or saying no and then replaying it in your head like it's a legal deposition. Or needing naps like you're, oh gosh, I'm thinking like Scarlett O'Hara with this like fainting spell. Or just any of that. Like you're not some delicate, wilting little flower because you want to do things differently. And it's not that you're failing. It's because your nervous system is trying to figure out what the hell is happening. So if you decide to go to bed tonight, I was going to say it's 6:00, but it's like 7:45 right now. Hell, I may go to bed as soon as I'm done. That's okay. This is recalibration. Sleep, mandatory. Eating, mandatory. Hydrating, mandatory. Dealing with bullshit, not so much. Your old settings don't work anymore. Think of it, if you're a computer person or even if you're not, it's like your system is getting an upgrade. You have an outdated operating system and you need to update to the newest one. And it kind of updated overnight without giving you a heads up or asking. So now there is a very good chance that your usual coping strategies are not compatible with the existing upgraded system. So it might feel pretty sudden that like tolerating nonsense feels impossible, and overcommitting to things feels like physically painful. Or this is a big one for me. Small talk drains your will to live. I hate small talk. I understand logically the concept of it and why it exists. I just don't want to partake. I want to be able to sit and have deep, open, thoughtful, meaningful, thought-provoking, esoteric conversations, because everything else just feels like a waste of time and like fluff. And I used to kind of beat myself up about that. And I've had people that would say, can't you just like be nice and light? No, you know what? I tried. It's not me. I'm owning it now. That's why I'm doing this. So the other thing that I'm thinking with that is sensory overload. Like loud environments might feel like a personal attack. And I have noticed the last 2 days, I've been very touchy with sounds. Like earlier today, my daughter was just like, she was literally tapping her foot, barefoot, well, socked foot, up against the coffee table as I'm sitting there working on my website on my laptop. And just that little tiny thunk, thunk, thunk was like nails down a chalkboard. And I finally was like, I'm so sorry. I want you to have the ability to tap your foot, but I'm literally going to lose it right now. And fortunately, she has sound sensitivity too, so she gets it. But with that, you might be asking yourself, like, have I always been this sensitive? Chances are no. I mean, you may have, but chances are no, and you were overriding that sensitivity before. But now you're actually listening, which is inconvenient, but so much healthier. So recalibration is like awkward. It's leaving a dark movie theater in the middle of the day and stepping into that blinding sunlight. And your eyes go, absolutely effing not. And you're squinting and you can't see and you look confused and maybe a little bit betrayed, but nothing is wrong. Your system just needs time to adjust to the light. And you might also notice that you become slightly, how should I say this, spicy? So that's a nice way of saying it. When you stop people pleasing and stop over functioning and stop automatically smoothing everything over, you develop opinions, sometimes very strong, assertive opinions, and you develop boundaries, not walls, fun fact, boundaries, invisible force fields where you are teaching others how they are allowed to treat you. That is a boundary. It is not about keeping people out. It is about saying, this is what I am willing to accept. I call it my inner sanctum, and there are people that are allowed in my inner sanctum, and everybody else can stay out. And there is no crossing that boundary if you do not have the past to come in. You're going to start having a lot of preferences. And that's good because chances are you probably didn't have many before. And what I will refer to as developing energy conservation skills. And it's really finely tuning within yourself where and with whom and how you want to expend your energy. But other people may interpret all of this as you've changed. Yes. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Yes, I have changed. You are correct. That is literally the assignment. That is literally the point of living, growing, expanding, moving beyond all your limitations. That is why we are here. So if you want to stay stuck, chances are you haven't made it this far in this recording. And that's okay. Come back when you're ready to. I'm spicy today. But there's also like a degree of emotional whiplash. So one day you feel grounded and you feel proud of yourself, right? But the next day you're Googling, am I ruining my life or is this growth? Welcome to recalibration. And this is the part I really want you to hear. You're not falling apart. You're reorganizing. You don't need to fix this. You don't need to rush through it. You don't need to treat healing like a productivity project. So all of you high achieving, still holding on to their perfectionism, got to do everything so well and do it to the best of your ability and Googling obsessively every step of the growth process, stop. Drop the keyboard. Drop the intentions. That is an indicator that you're, dare I say it, you're doing it wrong. Because that is you trying to exert more control over something that requires release. I hope that sets in. So you are allowed to be uncertain. You are allowed to be tender or confused. You might be a little bit dramatic. I definitely will go that way sometimes. And you might be deeply human while things are settling. And that might feel pretty vulnerable. Because this messy middle, which is where we are, is where honesty lives. And it's not this polished before and after story. And it's not the I figured it all out version. Because the real work happens in the middle. When you start telling the truth, when you start resting without earning it, and not automatically making yourself smaller. Take up some freaking space. I almost swore a little bit harder, but I'm working on it. Take up space. Be big, be bold, be expansive. Like, stop putting yourself into a tiny little box. You do not belong in a box. And it is uncomfortable to recognize that and put it out into the world. And it is inconvenient, but it is also where your life starts fitting you better. So if you're listening and thinking, I don't feel healed, I don't feel clear, I don't feel like I have it together, congratulations. You have officially joined the club and you are in the recalibration phase. Nothing has gone wrong. You're just learning how to live differently than you did before, and that takes time. So if today feels messy, or if things feel off, or if you don't quite recognize yourself, take a breath. I am right here with you, sitting in this messy middle. No matter how many times I have gone through this recalibration phase. And fun fact, it's not a one-time process. It's over and over. Every time you hit this growth point and you expand out of the way that you previously viewed yourself, or the boxes that you either put yourself in or felt that others put you in, you just keep hitting it a little bit more. The first one is shocking. So be gentle with yourself and take a breath. You don't have to rush to clarity. You don't have to snap back to who you used to be. You don't need a 5-step plan for your emotional landscape. I'm sitting here sending you a virtual high five for even recognizing that this is where you're at. You just have to stay long enough for the new settings to stabilize. You got to let the kinks get worked out a little bit, figure out the bugs in the system, because when the bugs come up, then you've got another recalibration phase coming, and that's okay. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're recalibrating. And honestly, that is brave as hell. So just a reminder, you are not falling apart. You're adjusting to a life that finally fits you. How cool is that, right? Okay, I feel a little bit lighter having gotten all of that out. Please, please, please leave me some comments about any spicy moments that you've had or any recalibration instances. Just, yes, I want to hear about it, and I want to get to hear your stories, but I think it would help other people going through similar stuff to know they're not alone. We all have so much in us that has gone unrecognized, and I'm so excited to get to discover it with you. So I will be back tomorrow night. Happy V-Day, by the way, if you celebrate Valentine's Day. I personally am not a huge fan. I feel like we should express our love and everything throughout the entire year. But I do really like all the candy. So I will be back tomorrow night and we'll see where I go. I might keep it light and spicy, or I might dive back into the depths. We'll see. All right. Have a wonderful evening, and like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And I will be back tomorrow. Have a great night.